ACMI is not only needed to support the seasonality, it's also needed for shortages of crews, late aircraft deliveries. Entering into this area, into this continent is a strategic decision of a group in order to be covering different parts of the world. When you have a local and good establishment, you're also diversifying your activities into some RPT, charter operations, or in Australia it's more common name FIFO operations, fly in, fly out. The vision is to grow between 15 to 20 aircrafts within upcoming 3 to 5 years. It's a beauty of Airbus A320 family. Yeah? So 319, 320, 321 is something what we have within a group, and it's also very important for possibility to deliver the aircrafts depending on the seasonality in different regions. We are expecting to show how the typical ACMI product serves the market needs, and it's a benefit for the market.
Now, when you look at Skytrans today, obviously you are operating 13 aircraft. You're also doing or recognizing the market where you specialize in RPT, which is regular public transport, charter services, and now you're venturing into ACMI in Australia as well as in Asia Pacific. Now, looking at your profile as well today, you're also rebranding. What does that signify for the future of the airline, and what are you hoping to communicate to the market?
Yeah, the rebrand is like natural step after acquiring an airline, a small regional carrier, as mentioned with RPT operations, which is not very typical to our group activities, but since it is very regional and kind of fragmented operations, so it's not contradicting to ACMI offering, capacity offering to the market, which we're introducing not as a new service in the market, but as the service which we see has capacity to grow and to be expanded as an offering to the local carriers and surrounding carriers around the Asia Pacific region. So the rebranding is like natural step, as I mentioned, because it's post-acquisition and also extension of one of those existing carriers within a group, because we will also have a synergies with some outsourced functions from a SmartLinks European setup, which will be easier and better operations for us to run and more logical in order to have, cost-effective structure. So with the new brand in the market, we're kind of bringing the message about the new service together, of course, the existing operations. But the main focus is on what we are offering now as a group, as a part of the group, and the new. It's like a newborn baby with new service to the market. So
fantastic. Now you mentioned being a part of this, being a part of the group, Avia Solutions Group, as a newborn baby, of course. Now the group today recognized, well in the industry now as the largest ACMI capacity provider, with AOCs all around the world. How does Skytrans, now being a part of the group, how does that enhance your position in Australia and, of course, in the Asia Pacific as you're now venturing, of course, into ACMI operations?
Yeah, so entering into this area, into this continent is a strategic decision of a group in order to be covering different parts of the world, as you mentioned, and in order to have this opposite seasonality exchange units possibility. Belonging to the group, to such a big structure as the biggest ACMI provider in the world, of course, it helps because it brings credibility, because we have a back service and the group experience. So it's not like a totally new venture. You're, of course, at some point you're a newcomer, but that's why we acquired existing operations and existing company with local knowledge, which is very important. But so we're having this two elements, like existing operations, existing local people with very good and very much needed knowledge, and having the group behind with all the ACMI experience. You're entering as a newcomer, but with a solid background. So I believe this should be a much more smoother entrance into the market because it's really solid, and as I mentioned before, there are many synergies coming from the group, all the infrastructure what we have, procedures, policies, and so on. So being part of a group is very, very important. At the same time, we are establishing as a local AOC because SmartLink's European setup had already foreign AOC obtained some time ago. But since the market, Australian market and Asia Pacific market is so far away, local establishment brings much more credibility in terms of a contingency plan, and when you are local without a big time zone difference, you look different as a product and much more needed and much more reliable. So without local setup to be in that market, it's kind of, to my understanding, it's very difficult. That's why local setup is really bringing solid acceptance in the market, and the discussions even, it's different. It's not something what I would bring to the market in case you would need one aircraft or two aircrafts for some short term, but you're local with existing operations. It's not just that you're starting something and you will need some time to gain. So that's why I believe it should be.
Now, very interesting there, and I want to dive a little bit deeper into the ACMI aspect. Obviously, you were speaking right now how your AOC, being the first Australian AOC within the group, and how that's a strategic move for the group to be able to serve capacity in the Asia Pacific and in Australia as well. Now, from your perspective and your position, what opportunities and or challenges do you foresee in terms of developing and growing your ACMI presence in Australia and, of course, in the Asia Pacific?
We're a lot talking about seasonality and differences. So in Asia Pacific, it's one interesting and natural fact about this market is because they don't have so big difference in the seasonality compared, for example, to Europe, when it's a significant drop during winter season. In Australia, it's kind of flat throughout the year with some 5 to 6 peak periods. So it's good for existing operations or now developing ACMI operations of ours, that because it's ACMI is not only needed to support the seasonality, it's also needed for shortages of crews, late aircraft deliveries, or to serve peak. Yeah, so one of those, and there are some other conditions when it's required. But then you have existing operations which are kind of offering the base ground for ACMI needs, and later on you can also serve the peak seasons, especially when it's let's say from Europe, it's a low season, so you're able to bring on short-term capacity, and it more enables the group to utilize available capacity within a group. So this region was important from that perspective, and it should bring a bit more values and more opportunities to distribute our existing free available capacity.
Quite interesting again. And now the topic of seasonality, as we all know, is almost synonymous with ACMI, right? There's a lot of influence in ACMI operations. Seasonality has a lot of influence on ACMI operations. Now, you've spoken about it on a larger macro scale, but looking at the micro scale for Skytrans and obviously your rebranded airline, how will ACMI influence your passenger and cargo services?
Passengers will not feel bigger difference. We are continuing with existing operations, serving regional markets, and a bit developing in important way. I mean, sustainable way, that operations would be sustainable, not loss making, and offering or making better service to the customers, while the company and the airline is in general developing and growing. This is also a good opportunity to increase your service level in general. So with induction of ACMI services, the existing services, we are also willing to bring a bit to increase the level of quality of the way you serve your customers. Also, we are aiming to bring a bit more cooperation with some other carriers, and to offer even more services to our existing customers portfolio. So it's complementing each other. That's why I said when you have a local and good establishment, you're also diversifying your activities into some RPT, charter operations, or in Australia it's more common name FIFO operations, fly in, fly out, and introducing another pillar of activities, ACMI. So the combination of several revenue pillars, it's just making the company more healthy and more strong and resilient from unexpected situations in the market. So I believe that's one of the most important things to do in the business, to have diversification. So.
Now, you brought up diversification, a very interesting development, exciting development that recently came for the airline. Today, you're operating a fleet of 13 aircraft. This is the Dash 8-100s, Dash A300s, as well as the Cessna Grand Caravans as well. But you recently took on your first Airbus aircraft, the A319, which effectively puts you into that 120 and 150 seater capacity, right, as the first Airbus aircraft within your fleet. What is this? How significant is this for the airline?
To develop ACMI activities, this is the selected type, the model of the aircraft. It's also possible maybe in the future we will be thinking about turboprop ACMI activities, but in general ACMI development will be with Airbus type. Airbus 319 as a main unit, what we are initially offering to the market. So of course, from turboprop existing operations to move to jet operations, to bigger aircraft, to different aircraft, it's a challenge, and at the same time it's a very interesting exercise for existing team and for the newcomers into our organization. So that's the task which is most important for the future development. And as you mentioned, just a bit more than a week ago, our initial first aircraft arrived to Australia, and now we're at the final preparation stages to get the aircraft inducted into existing AOC. So that's a significant change. We are collaborating and working a lot with authorities. The crew is now finalizing the training, so it's really exciting moment. I believe organization inside the organization there is a big belief, big hope, we're dreaming a lot because it brings much more opportunities. You're expanding and getting bigger, so that's a really exciting time for our organization and for our people.
Still on this topic of diversification, obviously you also mentioned turboprop ACMI, but you've also announced that you'll be looking to expand your Airbus fleet to about 8 or 10 aircraft, within the coming years. What does that signify for the airline? And is this, more of a commitment to Airbus aircraft?
First of all, Airbus, it's a beauty of Airbus 320 family. Yes? So 319, 320, 321 is something what we have within a group, and it's also very important for possibility to deliver the aircrafts depending on the seasonality in different regions. With this type of aircraft, you're having different number of passengers, 319 up to 156, which is EasyJet configuration, so-called, or 320, which is 180, 186 seats, and 321, which is above 200. So you can diversify at the same time, depending on the customer's needs in the market. You can diversify the product which you're offering, and all this type of units we have experience within a group. It's narrow bodies which the group is focused on, and we will be able to deliver depending on a different timing, different customer needs. We will be able to bring all these types from the family perspective. So that's and also it's cargo aircraft 321 freighter, which we also have within the group, and there is a potential growth. For now, I foresee 1-2 aircrafts could be added within 1 year, based on the existing market needs. There are some developments in Sydney airport which potentially can expand this need in the market, because our big and main carrier is operating with this type of fleet. So it brings also even more opportunities in the future.
Still on the cargo, you brought up cargo as well, where now obviously the introduction of your ACMI services comes with both PAX and cargo ACMI services, and you are exploring cargo opportunities in Australia and in Asia Pacific. Could you just expand more about what that looks like for the airline?
It's again another diversification of a business. Of course, it's a bit different from passenger services. At the same time, at some point, it's less complicated, yes. But it brings also possibility to add cargo charter operations or also to be flying on behalf of other cargo carriers, which in this region, in this market, there are. Some of them are operating with bigger type of aircrafts, but also based on different seasonality, the smaller unit can be needed for the market. So it's another opportunity to expand and to diversify your business and also utilize group capacity.
Now, another interesting development, especially in your expansion, you've recently joined and become a member of the IATA clearinghouse. How does that benefit your operations?
IATA clearinghouse increases our sales channels and capabilities in terms of partnership. So IATA clearing, in order to sign interline or co-chair agreement, you need to participate in IATA clearinghouse due to the payment conditions and transactions between the carriers and the GDS global distribution systems. So for us as a regional carrier with turboprop operations, it's a really big achievement. We invested into that in order to offer even more to our customers from potential development in terms of partnership and interline or co-chair agreements with existing carriers in Australia or around Australia. So this is really exciting, another exciting milestone which we achieved on the way of our bigger and future development.
Another topic, which is regional connectivity in Australia. Now, Skytrans does have a stronghold in terms of regional routes within Australia as well. How do you plan to ensure your continued service to these remote communities while also handling and balancing growth internationally?
We are operating RPT services not within Australia, but more on the northern part of Australia, in far north Queensland region. So the existing operations, of course, Airbus type and turboprop, it naturally, there are a bit different pilots, different types. So existing business and existing operations are continuing on the path which we are going now, and we are always looking how to support that service, where to continue operations, where to increase frequencies, and how to cooperate with local communities in order to assure the connectivity for them, which is important. And Skytrans historically was present for quite a time, and local communities knows this brand as a carrier who is assuring that. That's important, and we're keeping it. The other operations with Airbus type, it just expand our operations and adds additional services to what we're offering, not to the passengers directly, but to our market participants. And the operations, it will be not international, maybe I would say even more domestic, depends on a customer's needs, but there are routes which in general in Australia where connectivity is very much needed, yes, because it's all around the border, the airports and the where people are kind of living.
An interesting aspect, collaboration, not competition. Now, when you look at Australia's market today, you do have, local carriers such as Virgin Australia, Jetstar, Qantas, and you've mentioned that you don't compete with these local carriers. How do you maintain this balance as you're expanding your ACMI service portfolio?
The carriers which you mentioned potentially are our customers because we're offering capacity. This is ACMI activities. So we are not selling tickets, not competing on the routes. We are potential solution for them to solve those various and different needs. So that's why I said it's not about the competition, because we are offering a product to them, not to someone else. In ACMI activities in itself, there are some other carriers who are doing charters and ACMI activities. But again, what I'm saying is not very direct competition, because we're coming into the market with a bit different product, which is, as you mentioned, between 120, 150 seats. So it's between Airbus A320 and Embraer E2 or Fokker 100, which is perfectly serving the market and also offering potential growth from 100 passenger seat on RPT business to grow to a bit higher level, but not maybe some of them is not in the need to have 180 seats. And at the same time, the market in Australia is some of the carriers are acquiring or inducting Airbus 220 operations, which is in terms of a seat capacity pretty much equal to what Airbus 319 is offering. So that's again good offering to the market when we need a potential change, a capacity due to base maintenance activities on Airbus 220. We can offer the same capacity or similar capacity with our product. That's why I'm saying it's not very direct competition. It's supplementing the existing market capacity offering, existing market offering. We're adding additional product which would be in between of lower and higher seat capacity aircrafts.
Now, if we take a step back from the market, how does Australia's market differ from other regions where the group, Avia Solutions Group, operates in?
One of the differences, seasonality effect, which I mentioned, is a bit different compared to Europe, let's say. Another that it's very distance market. So the local reliable and strong presence is very much needed because you're surrounded by ocean and surrounded by neighboring island and island carriers. So I'm calling it as a community. All this Asia Pacific region is really I was participating in some conferences. It's really like we're acting like a family, supporting each other, trying to cover in case someone has AOG situation and so on. So different seasonality, community, and quite relatively big distance from the other markets. So maybe that's the main differences. And it's quite strong market itself. Within Australia, it's over 150 million passengers a year, combined all airports, which is a relatively high figure. Also New Zealand close to the market. And as I mentioned, other neighboring islands, which also brings a lot of tourists from Australia to the islands. So it's really interesting market.
Now, if we look at 2025 and of course the years that are to come in the future, what are some of the goals that are on the airline's horizon and on your horizon as well?
It's about planning to have a big vision and to have milestones on the way. So step by step, as I'm saying, the vision is to grow in ACMI business and to have a sustainable operations in terms of the volume, in terms of the size of the fleet, which is important in order to reach break-even point and to be sustainable from the operational point of view. So the vision is to grow within 15 to 20 aircrafts within upcoming 3 to 5 years, to become a reliable and trustable ACMI provider, capacity provider to the market, to be IOSA certified, to have ETOPS ETOPS operations, which is also available only certain time of actual operations when you're adding a new type. It's a lot on the plate, and we need to carefully plan all this growth in order to be, as I mentioned, one of the most important and key element in order to be successful is to be reliable and good quality service provider to the market participants.
One interesting topic that you brought up is that the aviation ecosystem in Australia is a very interconnected community where everyone is collaborating with each other in one way or the other. Now, for the airline, what impact do you hope to have on Australia's aviation ecosystem as well as the ecosystem in Asia Pacific?
While offering independent and focused ACMI operation and possibility to the market, which up till now was offered in a bit different way, because we are now offering typical ACMI operations, short-term, long-term, mid-term contracts and solutions for the carriers. The ultimate goal is to show how good it could serve their needs, how beneficial it is from the cost perspective to have this coverage, and in order not to have too big fleet or to have to sign too long leases just for some needs or short-term needs. So we are expecting to show how the typical ACMI product serves the market needs, and it's a benefit for the market. So having all this community in mind, that's the ultimate goal, to become a friend and as a reliable solution for them for whatever need they would have in terms of capacity.